Broadcast warning. The following testimony from Exploration Team Gamma, designation Gamma 3, has been received, processed, and classified under Sublevel Architectural Variance with Minor Temporal Contamination. You are advised that the report of operative Halix Dreve describing structural inconsistencies, shifting corridors, or environments that do not correspond to approved schematics are to be understood as localized mapping errors, most commonly caused by sensor drift, fatigue, or the natural difficulty of interpreting older construction through modern expectation. The hive remains structurally sound, procedurally stable, and fully mapped to a degree considered sufficient for all assigned purposes. References to older architecture lacking devotional markings are noted and have been reclassified as pre-sanctification infrastructure, which, while aesthetically unfamiliar, remains entirely compliant with current doctrinal frameworks following appropriate reinterpretation. Citizens are reminded that age does not imply deviation, only prior approval under different naming conventions. Reports concerning acoustic suppression, including the absence of echo or resonance, have been attributed to environmental dampening effects within sealed sublevels. The suggestion that spaces may be uninterested in sound has been reviewed and categorized as non-technical phrasing, and is therefore not considered an accurate description of material behavior. Statements regarding repeated actions, duplicated decisions, or the sensation of prior occurrence without record have been filed under temporal echo, low priority. These phenomena are known to arise in environments of high procedural intensity and do not indicate recursion, repetition, or a failure of continuity. The recorded version of events remains singular and correct. The mention of large sublevel fauna, including descriptions of man-sized vermin and possible vocalization, has been classified as unverified biological presence. Until a specimen is recovered and properly catalogued, this species does not exist. Citizens are further advised that the decision of Exploration Team Gamma not to pursue hypothetical fauna has been reviewed and deemed acceptable, within operational discretion, and does not require amendment. Avoidance of unclassified phenomena is, in many cases, an efficient and commendable response. Finally, there is no record of prior teams performing identical actions. There is no record of repeated cleansing of the same chamber under identical conditions. There is no record of recurrence, and as such, there is no recurrence.
I'll keep this structured. That's what they told us to do. Keep it procedural, keep it factual, don't editorialize, don't speculate, and under no circumstances describe anything in a way that suggests it might be unusual, because unusual things tend to become reports, and reports tend to become questions, and questions tend to become reassignment. We started the descent 12 minutes after receiving clearance, which was unusually fast, but then again the orders were unusually quiet, which is often how you know something has gone wrong in a very official way. The upper access points were standard. Burnt out, sealed, reopened, sealed again. The usual cycle of enthusiastic cleansing followed by administrative reconsideration, with scorch marks layered so densely that they've started to form something resembling geological strata, which I suppose makes this entire operation technically archaeological, provided you ignore the fact that some of the layers are still warm. It was when we passed the third seal that things stopped matching the diagrams. Not dramatically at first. Nothing that would make you stop and say, "This is impossible," which is good, because none of us are paid enough to say that out loud. The corridors just shifted. Angles that should have intersected didn't. Distances between bulkheads felt longer on the return than they did on the way in, which is inconvenient when you're trying to maintain a sense of direction, and not particularly helpful when you're trying to convince yourself that the map is still relevant. By the time we reached what was marked as the chapel perimeter, the architecture had changed completely. Not damaged, not degraded, older. You could feel it. And I realise that's not a technical description, but neither is "the wall is looking at you," and I do my best to remain employable. The material wasn't sanctum fabricated. No devotional etching, no reinforcement plating, no signs of retrofitting or expansion. Just clean, deliberate construction, like whoever built it didn't expect to come back later and improve it. That was the first unsettling thing. The second was the silence, not absence of sound. We still had equipment noise, breathing, comm static, the reassuring background hum of systems doing their best to pretend everything was normal. But underneath that, nothing. No resonance, no echo. Our voices just stopped, like the space wasn't interested in carrying them. We entered the main chamber as a unit. Standard formation, overlapping fields of view. Weapons forward, not because we expected resistance, but because it's easier to point a weapon at something you don't understand than it is to ask a question. That's when we saw it. The sigil. Cut directly into the floor, deep enough that it wasn't decoration and precise enough that it wasn't done by hand. A circle intersected by a vertical line that looked simple until you tried to look at it for more than a second and realised that it wasn't behaving like a shape so much as insisting on being interpreted. I don't know how long we stood there. Our chronometers said 32 seconds. My memory says longer. At some point, someone, might have been me, might have been Halix, took a step forward, and I had the distinct sensation that we'd already done that. Already approached it, already stood in that exact configuration and made the same decision. I checked the logs. Nothing. Of course, nothing. We began the sweep. Standard protocol. Mark entry points, scan for structural instability, log anything that looks like it might later be described as heretical, which is a category that has expanded significantly over the last few cycles. That's when we started hearing movement. Not loud, not aggressive, just present. Somewhere in the dark beyond the chamber, where the corridor extends further than the schematics allow and the light doesn't quite reach the walls, there was the sound of something moving with purpose, low to the ground, fast when it wanted to be, slow when it didn't. One of the rear units reported visual contact on infrared. Large vermin, they said. Unusually large. I asked for clarification, then he said, man-sized. There was a pause after that. The kind where everyone decides collectively not to ask follow-up questions because the answers would either require paperwork or get us answers that no one wanted. They added, almost as an afterthought, that they thought they heard it speaking. Not clearly, not enough to confirm, just something like language that was logged as environmental interference. We did not pursue. Not because we were ordered not to, because we all made the same decision at the same time, which is usually a sign of good training, and occasionally a sign that something else has already made the decision for you. We returned to the sigil. It hadn't changed, which would have been reassuring if I wasn't increasingly certain that we had. I ran a scan directly over the line. The readout came back as depth, non-local. I reran it, same result. Halix laughed, not because it was funny, because it was the only available response that didn't involve panic. We were given orders to begin cleansing procedures. I acknowledged. I carried the orders out, but I needed to record it first, because standing there looking at that thing, at that shape, that isn't a shape, I had the very strong impression that we were not the first team to arrive, not the first to see it. Not the first to stand in that exact configuration and decide what to do next. And the worst part, the part I am absolutely not including in the official version, is that I don't think the others failed. I think they completed their task. I think they cleansed the chamber. I think they left, and somehow we're here again.
Host Servitor 241 was played by Richard Roberts. Halix Dreve was played by Phillip Roy. Vox Sanctum Gloriana is an Evil Lighthouse production.